we have already entered into open session, and so we'll proceed with the meeting and the tax rate hearing.
Ms. Andrew.
Good evening, everybody. Annually, the Board of Education is required to hold this hearing to allow public comment on the proposed tax rate. Proposed levy for the 23-24 school year is $3.466 in the operating fund, $1.1623 in the debt service fund, 10 cents in the capital fund, for a total of $4.7283 per $100 of assessed valuation. For your reference, in your packet is a copy of the tax rate calculation sheets, a historical view of the district's tax levy rates and assessed valuation, and a copy of the notice that was placed in the newspaper.
Do we have any questions? I have anything at this point?
Last approval of action.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. All right, our first order of business is I need a motion for approval of the agenda, please.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Could I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda items?
So moved.
All in favor? Communications.
Cool first.
Yep.
Tonight, we do not have any communications.
No request for public comment were submitted.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have our finance report. Ms. Andrew again.
Yes.
Come on down.
Tonight, the draft ASBR is included in your finance packet. We have uploaded the ASBR to DESE and are currently working on edits this week, which will be submitted prior to the August 15th deadline. The draft ASBR includes the Fund 1 to Fund 2 transfer. That transfer was in the amount of $3,613,262.89, and that covers the end of the fiscal year salary and benefits for certified staff. The draft ASBR also includes the Fund 1 to Fund 4 transfer. This transfer was for the amount of $841,005, and that was approved at the June board meeting. We also wanted to give a financial update on the 2022 bond project. As of the end of July, we have spent $4,667,562.65 on completed and paid invoices, and that leaves us with a balance of $2,566,005.80. That's all I have for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, superintendent's report.
Yeah, a couple things on there. Staff orientation schedule. We have some teachers that started to return this week and have been doing curriculum writing with Dr. McLean. New staff will be in Thursday and Friday this week, so we're excited to get them in, get them rolling. All staff will be back on Monday of next week to work in their classrooms, and then we've got district level and building level professional development activities planned for several days up until the start of school on the 23rd. Our opening ceremony will be Wednesday, August 15th in the high school auditorium. At the opening, we will do presentation of service awards. We have a guest speaker coming. We will introduce all new staff to the district staff, and then a welcome by President Young and myself. And then, like I said, the students arrive on the 23rd. It's here. So, and then Dr. Fagan will give you an update on summer maintenance and cleaning.
Yeah, so everything is going off pretty well. We do have some areas left to finish cleaning because of working around construction updates this summer, but those are wrapping up too. Pat will talk about that here in just a few minutes, but overall, summer maintenance, summer cleaning has made good progress. Our custodial staff, maintenance staff has really worked hard to get things in shape, so done a good job.
Any questions? Okay.
Okay, next up, discussion items, or construction update.
Good evening. Construction's going good and nearing completion. Since you all had a chance to walk through it today, I'll talk through what's left to get to the finish line and approximately how many days it'll take to get there. So I'll walk through each school. Let's start with the high school here. The flooring. They're working on it right now, and I understand they aren't going home until it's finished. So they're putting in the O. The guys are out there cutting it by hand, the craftsmen. And they're putting up base. There's a couple guys installing carpet at the vestibule at the new secured entry on the west side. So that's getting wrapped up today. There's a few electrical items that are being wrapped up today and tomorrow, just some outlets. And the big item at the high school here is still class. You notice we have all the frames up, you can just walk right through them. Class is supposed to show up on site tomorrow, and they'll start installing those Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at each school. So the intent is, by the end of this week, all the glass is installed in the frames. That includes, there's a few smaller windows in the conference rooms, back glass. There's some transaction windows where into the admin area, and a transaction window in the secured vestibule on the west side. That'll be installed too, and should show up tomorrow. Occupancy has been achieved for the high school. So we had the city out, they inspected the fire alarm system and approved it. So you'll notice there what teachers are allowed and staff to move into those spaces. After this week, I will come on Monday and do a final review of the workmanship here. I do what's called a punch list of just remaining items that need to be painted or completed, like an outlet cover installed. So I'll be back next Monday to do that here and in McQuarrie and Pitt Middle School. McQuarrie is mostly just the glass there. So they have the frames installed for the secure entry. I believe they have the carpet wrapped up today. So the glass needs to be installed in McQuarrie. And then the middle school, the big items are the ceiling tile, they're finishing that up, and then the flooring. So they're wrapping up that by the end of this week. So all ceiling and all flooring by 8/11 of this week. And then concurrently, Excel will be cleaning up, kind of just cleaning up all the job sites by the end of this week in preparation for that final review next Monday. And then at the middle school, Excel is going to try to get the city out here next Monday to do the similar review of the fire alarm system so that occupancy can be granted then next Monday, which is 8/14. That's the hope, that we can get the city out here then, and then staff can begin moving it. And then the site. So all three schools, the last of concrete was poured today. They're installing the base course of asphalt. You saw them working at the middle school. They're really going to town over there right now. So over the next couple days, they're putting in the base coat, and then Thursday and Friday, the top coat of asphalt. And then it'd be immediately after that, probably Monday and Tuesday of next week, striping. So we're within, by middle of next week, the parking lots will be complete. There's a little bit of grading and then grass seeding to go back over. So we tore up some grass while we were working on the brick and the site. That's all gonna get seeded. That'll be one of the last things that happens. Light poles will be installed. They are arriving a little late, so I don't have a date on that, but the bases are poured of concrete. They're ready to be installed once those show up. And then there's a portion of chain link fence that will be put up on the south end of the new bus loop by McQuarrie. Chain link fence in the gate. So that's what remains on the site. So that's an overview of the remaining items. What questions do you have?
So like on your punch list, you're talking about doing some punch lists at the high school, like starting next week.
Yes.
When do you envision, like you doing punch lists on the other two schools?
I'll do it next Monday.
Oh, you're
as
gonna do them
well.
all at the same
Yeah.
time?
The-
Okay.
So the flooring and the ceiling at the middle school is gonna be wrapped up by the end of this week, and that'll be the remaining items for that.
I see. And then I'm assuming when you do those, within a reasonable amount of time, probably a few days, you'll be able to get in touch with whatever subs need to come out to take
Yeah.
care of.
Yeah, Excel will be, I mean, immediately.
So other than the light poles, it sounds like you pretty much have a good handle on.
The next couple weeks, it's.
Yeah, by like the
that'll be-
18th is what I'm guessing probably. If, except for maybe the light poles. Do you have any?
I don't have a date, they didn't give me a date on the light poles. There might be a few signage elements, there's also an illuminated post sign that I didn't mention, that goes in the admin area that's gonna be installed too, inside, but, that just plugs in basically.
So where does the middle school stuff go on Monday if occupancy isn't granted yet?
It will be. I'm not worried about the occupancy granted. Getting into all the spaces, we'll just have to work with them and, they might have to work in other spaces part of that time. We've got several meetings that'll be going on in addition to working in their classrooms, so we'll work with them as much as we can. And a lot of the classrooms are available or will be by that point. They've been working with us, so we've been able to wax a lot of those rooms that got new tile on the backside. All the rooms that didn't have any work done in them, those have all been waxed and furniture put back in. So we don't have a lot of rooms, individual classrooms that they couldn't get in, but hopefully we'll get those wrapped up this week. And then we'll get in first. That's the hope.
My teacher brain is kind of freaking out for
Are they just parking at the ball fields while striping is taking place, or also parking?
We'll work through that because I don't know that I think striping probably needs to happen after our work day if at all possible. So it's not a burden on our staff. So that's something we'll work through with them.
Roger, I guess you'll be walking through on the punch list.
Yeah, Mike.
Responsibility for the grass taking, if that, does the contractor just walk away from that once it's seeded, is it the district's responsibility to make sure that comes up?
Let me look into we have a specification that kind of lists the requirements for the grass seeding. Let me dive into that and I will get that information about the taking it forward to you.
Okay, any other questions for that right now? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up in discussion items is the 2023-24 transportation update.
Yeah, so a few changes over the summer with routes. So last year had 22 routes throughout the district, and we'll be going just with challenges of drivers and such, and rerouting just for efficiency as well. We'll be looking at 16 instead of 22. Out of district routes last year we had 5. There will be 3 this year. That increase goes from about 45 per route, students per route, to about 65. So one of the big changes in that, historically all of our routes, in the country, and then pick up a certain portion of town on their way in. So a big change is several routes doing only town this year. So that will help with those routes being way shorter and the country kids not having to meander their way through town as well. So some of the larger kind of increase in that average, those larger amounts, like maybe 70 students on a bus, and it's 84 passenger bus, so it's legal, but they're going to be cramped, but they'll be on there for 15 minutes because it's only in town. So that won't be as big of an issue. Some of the route times being extended as well. So last year, ranging 45 to 60 minutes. However, when we would have to combine routes, that could extend those 30 to 45 minutes as well. So should be a lot less need to combine routes this year than there was last year, since there are fewer. So unfortunately, if they are shorter, if we do have to, if a driver calls out last minute or something, the hope is then not combined routes, but we would have those town routes to be able to get all the students here and then run a different town route. So then you might run two whole complete routes and the ones only be 15 to 20 minutes late instead of affecting a whole bunch of other things. So Kathy and Karen have put in a lot of time this summer and a lot of work and rearranging that and driving routes and getting times. So hopefully all the students that rode last year continue and there's not a whole bunch of new ones. As student enrollment takes place now at the campus, they'll be adjusted between now and the first day on the fly as new students might move in or move out.
So, yeah, I read in here.
Yeah, so right now, currently they've got 7 hired and still actively hiring. So with the addition of the extra students, we feel like it's important to get a monitor on every bus. And we've had some on various buses here and there, but I feel like it's important to get those on every bus.
So last year we didn't.
We did not, no. And we don't currently have enough to do that, but that's what they're working toward and what we've asked them to do is get a monitor on every bus.
That's not in their contract though. We haven't had any contract before.
No, but I mean, if they've been real good about if there's a need, they add it, you know, whether it be a large group of students or, you know, if behavior becomes an issue on a bus or with a certain driver, they've always been able to work that and add those. So they're definitely willing to do that. So,
The contract price is adjusted if you put a monitor on. So,
yeah, we pay so much per route, and then if you add a monitor, it's just that many extra dollars per day for that route. Yeah, it's not, we're not outing anything by doing that, it's just gonna have to find people.
So a lot of the problems, you know, there were obviously problems last year, I think, on certain buses were when we had those problems, was it on buses that had monitors already, or was it buses that didn't have monitors?
Generally speaking, that didn't,
Yeah.
and then we would add one
Yep.
to that, or
And
move
that
one,
would help
move
alleviate.
one from a different route to that route, that would take care of some issues. Yeah.
So having one on every bus is probably pretty key. I mean, unless you just have a bus that's not really problematic.
Right.
Helps the driver become more efficient too, probably, because
Yeah.
they don't have to.
Let them
They
drive.
don't have to even, you know, worry about the kids. I mean, not that they're not worried about them, but they don't have to pay as much attention when they got somebody else there.
you're not looking at the mirror.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. It's awesome.
They still have trouble hiring drivers.
They were getting, last I talked to Karen, which it's been about a week, I think they were still needing 2, but had a couple training, so a lot closer than this time last year.
How many were we short last year?
8.
Oh. Good stuff. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I appreciate them putting in all that work to run all those routes and, you know, try to become more efficient and make it work, you know, even if we do have one that misses or whatever, that way we don't have kids missing too much of school, so it's good
Do
stuff.
they communicate the new routes to parents or is that the district's?
they take care of all that, so, and they'll have a table like at the open houses to talk to parents and get kids signed up or so they move. They do all that.
I know last year there were some times when kids had to wait at school for a pretty extended amount of time. Is the goal of these in-town routes to hopefully either alleviate that or shorten that time? Is that?
Both.
Yes.
Yes is the answer. So, yes, ideally, we have fewer routes for fewer drivers, but then that eliminates that. But if it doesn't, then yes, if you can run an entire busload home in 15 minutes and get right back. then
It's
that-
15 minutes versus 45.
Right,
That
because
I think happened.
like last year, you would have, you know, you could take a bus and get the town kids dropped off, but then you still had country kids on, so you come back with the town kid, you know.
There were no short
That was major shuffle. Yeah, there was no short ones. So this adds 2 or 3 short ones to that mix.
Would it be possible to get an update next month during your superintendent's report on bus situation, just to make sure?
And we'll have the routes, yeah, for the specific routes next month as well for approval on that with times and stops and all that information too. So, we don't put that out. We used to.
Yeah, that is.
Kind of publish that. But then with school safety and everything
I
else,
can see
you
that
don't wanna
now.
say, hey, there's a bus stop at this corner at this time every single day, you know, for just any. So we do have that information available, but we put it where when they log into their parent portal, then they can see it.
Makes
So,
sense.
then you at least have to be a parent here to see that information.
Yeah, generally, we at Kels, we run the routes a little bit, and you all kind of fine tune them, and then we will approve them
Yeah. It's
at the next month.
Yeah.
They'll bring them all, have a map drawn out. So, good. Thank you. Okay, next up is establish the 2023-24 Board of Education and Superintendent goals. We have talked about that, and we're going to have another meeting. Kind of move this, if you all have anything else, to have a discussion, we'll set up a special meeting so we can just concentrate on that. And I'll get with everybody here on the board, and we can fit it in our schedule to do this, so. Okay, action items. Change order with Excel constructors.
So as we discussed previously, this is change order 14 and 16, one of them being the replacement of the two sets of doors on the north side of the middle school, and that was a $14,832 add. And the other was remediation of unsuitable soils at the middle school, so we had to dig a little deeper and add some extra rock at the middle school to do that parking lot correctly. And that's an add of $114,438. So just ask for the approval of those as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, next up, we have our conflict of interest ordinance.
Yeah, this is required to be approved every other year by the Missouri Ethics Commission, and by approving this will fulfill this responsibility until September 2025.
To approve the conflict of interest ordinance as presented.
All in favor? Thank you. Okay, next, we have the 2023-24 Odessa Middle School Student Parent Handbook.
Yeah, so I'll just briefly talk about all three of the next three items, because they're all three handbooks, but to be approved individually. They are the remaining books. We did the high school last month. These handbooks, all four of them now, will align, the differences being what is specific to the buildings, as an example, start times, or staff lists, those types of things. But these handbooks now all align with our new policy services, and the language in them is all very consistent. So they are presented for board.
Do we have any questions or discussion on the handbook at this point? Now I need a motion to accept.
Motion to accept the middle school handbook as presented.
A second, please.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Next, we have the 2023-24 Odessa Upper Elementary Student and Parent Handbook. Does anybody have any questions on that? Now I need a motion to approve Student and Parent Handbook.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. And then we have the McQuarrie, 2023-24 McQuarrie Elementary Parent Student Handbook. Have a motion, please.
Motion to approve the student.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Okay, next up, we have the 2023-24 tax rate.
Yeah, this information was presented by Ms. Andrews during the tax rate hearing at the beginning of the meeting. As a reminder, the recommendation is to set the tax rate at the ceiling, which includes $3.4660 in the operating fund, $1.1623 in the debt service fund, and 10 cents in the capital fund, for a total of $4.7283 per $100 of assessed valuation.
Any discussion? If not, I need a motion to approve 2023-24 tax rate.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Next, we have our local compliance plan.
Ms. Fagan.
So annually, the district approves a special education local compliance plan based upon the state's adoption of their compliance plan. Historically, the district has approved the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education's model plan. Again, this year, the administration recommends the board approval of that DESE model plan. This plan explains the process for identification of students with disabilities. It is attached in your board documents just to highlight our recommendations that go along with this model adoption. For us, we have to select how we will identify students at the early childhood special education age, and so we have chosen to identify all children as eligible using any of the disability categories other than language impairment, including YCDD, which is young child with developmental delay, and so that's for our age group 3 through 5. As we select that, any child age 3 through 5 not kindergarten eligible, we can continue YCDD eligibility or apply any other disability category, and we have chosen to continue with the YCDD eligibility for those students. Students who are kindergarten age eligible before August 1st and have not been previously identified as a student with special needs must meet criteria of any disability category other than YCDD. And students who are first grade eligible, meaning age 6 before August 1st, must meet criteria of any disability category other than YCDD. So that's what we would like to propose for adoption.
Great, thank you. Any discussion or questions for Ms. Fagan at this point? If not, I need a motion to adopt the local compliance plan.
So moved.
All in favor? Thank you. Next up, we have a out-of-state student travel request.
We have one request this month, and this is for the high school cheerleaders to go to nationals in Florida in February. So on qualification, they would be able to travel to Disney.
Is there any questions? If not, I need a motion to approve the out-of-state trip request, please.
So is there any difference to the way we're supporting this year than what we were last year?
It would be, similar to the others because of the qualification for nationals. So during the competition dates and times, the districts would be.
Yes.
Yes.
For the competition window, the district will be funding the expense.
Did we do that last year?
No, we've not.
Okay.
It's always been
Make sure.
it's always been 100% fundraised by the
That's
team.
what I thought.
But they're excited.
Yes.
Didn't get the car
100%.
wash.
Good for them.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, at this point, I need a motion to approve the travel request.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Okay. Next, we have the Odessa R-VII Missouri Valley College Partnership.
Yeah, in your packet is what's called an orange carpet agreement with Missouri Valley. As Brian and as President Young had mentioned, a partnership with Missouri Valley and the district. The partnership would bring a master's administration cohort to the Odessa campus for any of our staff members or anyone else who wanted to enroll in the area. Benefits that our staff members would receive if the board approves the agreement would include they would get a reduced rate of $50 per credit hour for any classes they took. Reduced rate of $50 per credit hour for any spouse of an employee that wanted to take a course or the courses. The district could utilize the catalog of dual credit offerings that Missouri Valley currently offers and any in the future that they added. As a note, this would be in addition to any of our current dual credit offerings, so it's not that we have to just use them, this would be in addition to. Children of the Odessa School employees would receive a $10,000 annual full-time residential scholarship if they enrolled and attended in Missouri Valley as well. The district will be able to utilize any of the career resources that Missouri Valley offers on campus or off campus. And if approved, we would work to get the cohort started with students yet this fall. So, had a good meeting with them last week.
It's great.
Okay, we need a motion to approve at this point.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, at this point, I need a motion to conduct a closed executive session, including any record or vote at the next scheduled meeting pursuant to statutes contained in chapter 610.021 RSMO.
So moved.
Roll call.
Aye.
And aye. And I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?